my own belief that it's not you who chooses specialization, it's the specialization who chooses you.
How are you all? I hope you are happy and healthy. Today is your host Shubham Kumar, and welcome back to Legal Talk Show with Shubham once again. The personality which I am talking about is none other than Mr. Vaibhav Mishra, and currently is designated an advocate on record at Supreme Court of India, and he's an author titled of the Patna High Court, which book titled that the illuminating heritage of Patna High Court. So I am warm welcoming you, Vaibhav Bhaiya, that you took out your precious time for us. Thank you so much, Vaibhav Bhaiya, for joining us today.
Thank you, Shubham, for having me on your show.
Uh, Thank you, Vaibhav Bhaiya. So today we are talking about what is the all about the advocate on record exam. So here's Mr. Vaibhav Bhaiya to answer all the question.
Anyone who wants to practice primarily in Supreme Court should ideally give this exam and try to clear it. Reason being that only an advocate on record in Supreme Court can file cases there. Advocates generally can argue there, but the filing criteria can be done only by an AOR, advocate on record. 5 years of practice for sitting for the exam with an AOR. So basically, after you complete 4 years of practice, then you can inform the Supreme Court registry that you're starting your training with proper documentation. That when your 1 year is done of training, then you are eligible to sit for the exam. Now exam in June and December, but now it takes place once a year. During COVID time, exam didn't take place in 2020. In 2021, it took place in December, and then again in 2022 in December again. In 2023, that is this year, I think they've just conducted the exam in June. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I think they might start the process of doing the exam in June only. Early to be in June, but post-COVID, they did twice in December. But I think they'll be doing it in June again, I'm assuming. So there are 4 papers for sitting for the exam when you give the exam: practice procedure, drafting, rules, and then and then ethics paper, and then there's of course the open book exam of judgment side various judgments. To clear the exam, I would suggest that anyone who's sitting for the exam goes through the previous year's papers, which are available from the Supreme Court itself, on the registry or library, and also go through the videos of various senior advocates who have given training. SCORA, that is Supreme Court Advocate and Record Association, and Supreme Court Registry itself conduct base classes just before the exam. So anyone who wants to give the exam should ideally attend those classes, because then you get a preview of what you expect in the paper, what kind of questions going to come. So I attended those classes virtually and physically, and during the paper we got an objective type of questions in one of the papers. No, I didn't see those objective type of questions earlier, but if you attended those virtual classes and if you're conceptually clear on the subject, and if you've gone through the previous papers, then you can able to handle such a question. So that's ideally you should go through the previous papers, of course prepare through the subject, understand them and read them, and see what kind of teachings are being done before the exam by the senior advocates or sometimes judges also, because the exam answers are being checked by those sort of people itself. If not them, then people who are of that rank and those experience. So it will be very helpful to attend those classes and see the previous year's papers.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav, for sharing the beautiful concept of the advocate on record exam. So I want to know what was your strategy during your Supreme Court practice?
Young litigator, you should, try to get as many cases as you can. You should not be choosy if you're starting a career. I want to do only specialization in one particular case, because it's my own belief that it's not you who chooses specialization, it's the specialization who chooses you. You might want to do tax law, during your theoretical studies. But once you come to the profession and once kind of work which comes to you, you might be able to do more of criminal litigation or civil litigation, commercial litigation, or more of corporate due diligence drafting work. So you should have an open mind during your practice in courts, even in for tribunals or arbitrations, or even if you're doing corporate work. If you're sitting in the office on doing due diligence, drafting work of agreements, IPO launches, or other corporate work, you should have an open mind. So if you're doing litigation or non-litigation work, your practice process should be of open-mindedness, and you should try to understand various subjects, because you should not be in a position that the clientele comes to you with a particular subject problem and you're not able to handle because you did not do that earlier. You should always have a know-how of the subject, any subject, as much as possible, and give a guidance-based opinion. And end of the day, you're sitting in a profession which is client-oriented. You are here to, like a doctor is there to help in a medical problem, giving a medical opinion to a patient. A lawyer, being a litigation lawyer or a corporate lawyer, there to help guide the client. So you should always be in a position to help, guide, give opinion, give advice, appear in courts. So your strategy in practice should be well aware of various subjects and give a detailed insight, know-how kind of opinion to the clientele. So my strategy was to get as much knowledge, information. I used to work earlier with the DDA senior counsel, who later on become senior advocate. So litigation was purely based on real estate law, property-based law. Before that, I was in a law firm. The client work there was slightly different there. Before that, I was a judicial law clerk of a Supreme Court judge. Work was there different. So my strategy was basically getting to know different practice procedure, different subject line, and trying to inculcate that in my own work profession, and doing the same to the best of my abilities to the client and work which comes to me. So if someone would ask me that how should practice be, try to inculcate as much knowledge as you can on different subjects. Then in the end, if you see particular subject specialization which you're comfortable and the comfort level should be there, so then only you'll be able to go through the subject line and be able to perform. Once you choose specialization of comfort level, then you can choose and go about. But in initial years of practice, in initial years of work, should be open to different subjects and different specializations. That's how I saw, and I did strategize in a way in my career and my work in the profession.
I highly oblige from you. And what is your advice to the aspirant of the AOR exam?
My advice would be just study at least 1 or 2 months in advance. There are, of course, you will read the interviews of toppers who have cleared the exam during previous year and this year. They'll give you 20-day study is good enough, or 30-day study is good enough. But I would advise take at least 2 months of preparation, because if you're working, I'm assuming anyone who's giving the year exam is not sitting at home, is working. Because if you're already in 5 years in practice, then of course you are working somewhere, I'm assuming. So just leaving your work and sitting at home, I don't think would be ideal. You should do your work and study along with it. Take out your time, do time management. And for that, you should have ample time of studying. And I think 2 months or 1.5, 2 month approx should be good enough. So take your time and start studying subjects, read them again and again, go through the previous year's papers, answers, and there are videos available on the Supreme Court website of classes of very senior advocates and judges. So try to go through them. Then when the exam approaches, there will be a lot of WhatsApp groups formed for various aspirants who are giving the same exam. So they'll be circulating a lot of materials, study materials, some important answers, some drafting formats. So try that. I'll give more stress on drafting, because drafting is a paper which you, after you give that exam, you will be very tired. So and it's a totally practical exam. So try that, and whoever is giving the exam, try those formats of SLPs, civil appeals, writ petitions, from starting synopsis, list of dates till the end to the main petition. Everything, just try that and practice that. That will help a lot. That will be my advice, to just practice and keep practicing. Give yourself 1.5, 1 month, 2 months studying time. And I think that should be good enough. One point I want to add, what are the benefits of becoming an AOI? See, I'll say that it's up to the person who I mean, we're in a profession of marketing of clientele gets you from marketing only, marketing ability of the person. So if you're an AOR and if you're able to outreach yourself, then it's will beneficial. But if you just become an AOR, you're not able to increase your clientele, engage your work. Or if you're working in a organization also, if you're not able to utilize that in increasing your potentiality of work, then it depends on the person itself on how he or she uses. So the benefits of becoming an AOR is that in a profession which is so vast and so wide, you're able to distinguish yourself. You're into a criteria of exclusive number of people, so which helps you in helping your career also and going forward. So that would be one benefit. One thing I would want to say that there are a lot of books available for the different subjects on AOR in the market. I would advise rather than going through that books, you just go to study material and make your own notes. If you make your own notes, you will be able to inculcate and understand subject more conceptually and understand them, and your answering ability would be good. You will be able to clear the and give good answers in the exam itself. So I would advise make your own notes, go through the notes available on the Supreme Court website, and keep practicing in giving your answers. That will be beneficial and help the aspirants in giving the exam.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav, once again for sharing your beautiful concept of the Advocate on Record exam. And congratulations once again for recently you passed the AOR exam.